It is time for another deep dive looking at CitizenCon 2024. This time, base building and crafting. We are going to take a good solid couple of hours today. We're going to go into a good amount of depth though, discussion, looking at the history, what was said before, all that kind of stuff regarding crafting, base building, the resources involved in those processes, and all that kind of jazz. Let's get on to the panel because we got a long ways to go and a lot of discussion to be had. So here we go. Crafting your home in the stars? No, just crafting your home. Clap. Clap, everybody.
Thank you, Jared. And thank you, CitizenCon. It is an honor to be here. Yesterday, we presented the verse that we're creating for you. We shared new tech, locations, creatures, giant worm, social features, things we're doing with orgs. We even played the first chapter of Squadron 42 live. How great was that? Yeah? A few
Pretty
minor
cool.
glitches, but nothing we can't sort out.
Just a couple crashes.
So today, we got something just as exciting to talk about. But instead of focusing on what we're creating for you, we want to show you the world that you can build.
This guy was already getting distracted and completely off topic. This guy was in... He's pretty high up, right? He's like up there with Rich, I'm pretty sure. When they had Rich on... Is this him?
We don't want to limit them.
No, that's not him. Is that him? It's just very similar hair. Does anybody know faces or names better than I do?
Tech design and systems too. All the design departments for both.
What's your name?
And then I work directly with the teams on executing that vision.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it.
Okay. Rick?
I'm the design director for...
Rick, the design director. Okay. I want to confirm. Where's your name?
Director Rick Porter!
Okay, yeah. Rick Porter. Design director. Yeah, cool. So he's pretty high up in the company.
But instead of focusing on what we're creating for you, we want to show you the world that you can build. With crafting, we're going to give you the tools to create your own loot, to build your own home. Create your own loot, to build your own home.
2 is your number.
Crafting will fundamentally change not only how you play the game,
All right, guys.
but why you play the game.
Settle down. Mrs. Tomato can only shoot so many times.
What is crafting? Why does it matter? Why should you be as excited as I am about this? Well, first off, crafting is a profession. It requires its own set of tools, the knowledge of how to use them. Crafting offers progression. You become a better crafter by learning new blueprints and upgrading them. Crafting builds on the existing gathering professions. When you would go out and you collect your materials for crafting, we are adding new depth and meaning to those activities.
Ow!
Crafting provides customization. There isn't just one way to craft something. Like I said, we have upgrades. How you make and upgrade the things you craft is sometimes just as important as what you're crafting.
Jesus, guys!
In addition, you can earn cosmetic upgrades, craft unique items, even subscriber flair.
Hey, thank you for the memberships on YouTube. See, that's much nicer. Thank you. Who is that? Lux? I appreciate you much more than these fools on Twitch. Jeez.
But nowhere is this versatility more obvious than base building. We're going to have nearly limitless options for how you construct your home, how to customize your base to meet your own goals. Most importantly, crafting gives you a lot of new choices. The choices will impact your goals in the game, your interactions with other players, and eventually how you see the game itself. So where do we get started with crafting? Well, you can't craft without materials. Luckily, we've got a lot of ways to gather resources in the game. And crafting is designed to complement and expand on all of these existing gathering professions, as well as future additions. Let's take a closer look at mining as an example. We've got hand mining and vehicle mining and ship mining. That's a lot of mining. But with crafting, we're going to introduce a lot of materials. So there's not just more to mine, but we're also going to specialize. So for instance, each type of mining will have its own unique materials to gather. Gathering specific materials efficiently will require you to use the right gathering profession. Let's talk about refining. Currently, only mining resources can be refined.
Dude, we've been waiting so long for player refining. Oh, God. So long. And it still looks like it's going to be a while.
But doing so allows you to turn them into more valuable processed resources. With crafting, we're going to expand refining to include options for all raw materials. In addition to expanding the variety of materials you can gather, refining lets you create processed materials that you're going to need to craft your upgraded blueprints. So now that you've gathered all these materials, what do you do with them? Currently, your only options in the game really are to sell them to a shop or maybe complete a contract. Adding crafting into the game radically changes your options. You can still mine, refine, and sell your resources, but now you have the option to make valuable and unique items, weapons, armor, even vehicles and ships. Right?
Clap. You better f***ing clap.
And by valuable, I mean that the crafted gear that you create has the potential to be better than anything you can buy in a shop. But crafting just doesn't end with shiny new gear. Think much bigger. Crafting enables you to build your own home among the stars. You choose to make a farm, a hunting lodge, an industrial complex, your own trading hub, a military outpost, even a sprawling town with your friends and org mates. Got a lot here, but it's all optional. You can choose to focus on gathering resources and sell them to crafters that need them. You can skip gathering and refining and just focus on being the best crafter you can be. Or you can leave all that gathering and crafting nonsense to other people and just focus on trade and make some money. But that brings me to my last point. Player choice matters. When a player makes a choice, they assign value. Players' choices about crafting and base building will drive player trade. The community's choices will determine the value of the materials and the crafted goods you can all make. The game will still have its own shops and economy alongside players, but now you'll have more options about where you invest and how you prosper. Now, I've given you a nice overview of what we're working on here, and we have a lot more planned for the future. But now that you're familiar with the big picture, I want to introduce some of my fellow developers to come up on stage. They've got exciting details to share with you about the specifics of our new crafting systems, important gameplay improvements, and most exciting, I think anyway, an update to base building.
Lycos, I got you.
To start things off, please welcome Jacob Taylor to the stage.
Thank you, Rick. And hello, CitizenCon.
Hi.
Hi, I'm Jacob, Senior Gameplay Programmer on crafting. Rick has showed us
The way he
how
drops into presenter mode after his first line.
crafting will link into a lot of existing and new gameplay. But I think it's time we get into some of the details. I'm going to tell you about the new game mechanics we're introducing, starting with blueprints.
Wait, is the spinning circle still there?
Before you can craft anything, you'll need a blueprint. Blueprints provide the recipe to perform all kinds of crafting processes, including refining.
Okay.
You can acquire blueprints through various activities. Some you can buy, some you can find, and some can be unlocked or earned in other ways. You can also upgrade your blueprints through research. We'll go into more detail about what this means a bit later.
Okay, real quick, I want to drop back
Blueprints
because they confirmed in the 1.0 demo that blueprints aren't physical. I could have sworn they said something about that. Here, let's just go back a year ago.
The next area, or is it to be off-grid and be completely self-sufficient? So with that, with your prep and everything like that, we've got blueprints. So the recipes, everything in the game is fabricated from a blueprint. Players acquire blueprints via reputation rewards, missions, or rare NPCs. With any blueprint, you can actually do research on it and then create different variations. With materials, ranging from the common to ultra rare, you might find them at the local shop or have to travel around the universe to collect them. Unrefined, refined, simple materials, or even complex components will all go into the fabrication.
Okay, so they never actually said there would be physical here. I like how they do have one sitting here, though. Blueprint. It's very clearly labeled.
To the recipe, and Rick already told us the materials you gather and refine will be the ingredients. But there's a bit more to it than that. We have a new concept for materials: material quality. Quality is a property we're adding to all resources you can gather. That's an abstract measurement of how good it is at being whatever it is. You can think of this as the purity of a metal or the ripeness of a fruit, or
Ripe.
something along those lines.
I'm a ripe tomato.
This quality will be carried forward from raw resources through the refining process to influence what that batch of materials is best used for in crafting. High quality is more desirable overall, but is more rare, and there are still important uses for low quality materials. More on that later.
I'm tier 5, man.
All
This is
raw
pretty
materi-
sick, though. This is like... This really changes the way that you go about your mining in game. Like, it's not just, oh, I'm going to look for quantanium, or maybe we'll look for some titanium, or how about some unobtainium? Oh, the taniums. No, you're like, hey, we're looking for gold, but we're not taking that cheap that you keep bringing home and making necklaces out of, okay? We're getting that military grade, quality, #1, bread and butter, gold, patented, bullshit gold, you know? That I don't know what that is, but it's nice to have some variability in each material instead of just looking for one specific material for the monies and the good value. I think this is gonna forget about crafting. This makes stuff like mining and actually looking for harvestables reasonable. We've had harvestables in this game for like 3 or 4 years, and I don't think they've really mattered up until now. I guess not even now, but whenever this starts to be a thing. And that adds a lot of depth to the game. I like that.
materials you find in the verse will have a quality rating that's generated based on some rules.
Jake confirmed that base building's been in production since March. They really pushed that Q1 deadline, right? Because that was the big finishing announcement last year when they were talking about this stuff.
It's new IT person. We start development Q1.
So like, what was it? March 31st, 2024.
The same kind of rules you heard about from the Planet Tech team yesterday.
Yeah, this makes exploration matter.
You'll find the same material in many places, but with varying qualities. So you might want to explore to find the best. Some material.
We keep seeing real strong signs that up until now they've just been trying to put in the bare basics to make the game work in some aspect for us. And I really want to know, is it Squadron? Was it server meshing? Like, what is it that changes the focus of this from going to building the tech demo to building a game? I do think a lot of it is server meshing and just getting the game engine into a place where they can start to develop these more interesting and unique parts of the game. But I'm also thinking a lot of it has to be that just Squadron took up so much of the focus and the time. It wasn't worth it to take on big projects like these types of things because people were working so much on that. But yeah, it's quite the biggest message I've gotten from this CitizenCon, and even last CitizenCon too, was just that 4.0 is this turning point where 2.0 was like, okay, we've got a persistent universe. And then 3.0 was we're finally actually building the things that lay that base layer, the persistence, the bind culling, the object container streaming, the planet tech. the rendering engine, all those things are like the 3.x time. And now they're hitting 4.0 and they're like, okay, now we're actually going to build a game. Because I feel like that's what everyone's saying unanimously. It's like, oh, it feels like you guys are actually trying to turn this into a game now. That's good. Yay.
Materials that are already rare will be even more valuable if you can find them with high quality. But what's quality for? It's for item stats.
Oh.
Alongside quality, we're introducing a new item stat system to the game.
All right, I want to pull chat here. When it comes to item stats, this is clearly, as they're saying, going to make some things better and some things worse based on what they're made of. Does it bother you if they started to do things in the whole classic MMO, common, rare, epic, legendary tiers? Or would you prefer for it to just be, you've got this weapon and it has specific stats that you have to like figure out? It's not like there are classes to this weapon. It's rather just the weapon has its own stats and that stats put it in a class of its own, but it's not really identified by some sort of a color rating in a menu. Doesn't bother you? You like there to be tiers? We don't need tiers. Figure out the stats. No tiers for you. Classic MMO is good. You like where they're going. Need to decide if it's realism, tactical shooter, or the Division. No legendary things, but doing crafting to make weapons better. Specific class, not a fan of color rating. It does bother you, no tiers. You're fine with tiers, just 1 through 5 is okay. As long as you can craft all the tiers, no tiers, just stats. It's just silly names. Okay, stats feel less limiting. You don't like it. It's about stats, no tiers. Jake talked about that? Where'd Jake talk about that? That'd be interesting to see. So I thought they mentioned tiers like 1 through 5 for stuff. I prefer that, and I guess you can actually see right here it says tiers 1 through 3. I like that idea where it's just you got a base weapon and then they just change the stats of it. It's not like you can find, like, I don't want to open a legendary loot box kind of thing, you know? No, that's not what I'm looking for. And maybe that's where they go, but that's not specifically what I would want to do with it. I do like, though, like, you see a gun on the ground and you can't tell what it is until you pick it up. Or maybe you scan it. And you can, like, scan all the different parts in it. Beep, boop, bop, Mobi-Glass, super specific barrel for future scanning. And it tells you all the different things, bullet speed and all that stuff that you wouldn't normally know from, like, normal technology. But, like, the whole, oh, you picked up a purple Volt pistol. Enjoy. Either way, we'll continue on.
This will allow relevant properties of craftable items to be affected by the quality of materials used to craft them. For resources, just a single quality rating is sufficient to provide variation, but craftable items have such diverse purposes that we need a more detailed system to provide both progression and customization options. We aim to have meaningful item stats for all craftable items, but some examples would be the damage and fire rate of a gun, the wear resistance of a ship component, or even the satiation provided by eating a hot dog.
Dude, what is on that thing? Gross.
So, as I said, the quality of materials will directly affect the item stats, such that higher quality results in better stats. Most items require multiple different materials to make, which may each influence different stats. And in many cases, you'll have a choice of materials to use, which lets you decide which stats to focus on to tailor your items to your playstyle.
I wonder what the weight statistic is going to change. So we don't necessarily have a maximum weight limit right now. And I don't think they're adding that. I don't know. Maybe just the handling of the gun.
Here we see I'm making a gun with high-quality aluminium, giving me a nice bonus to integrity and weight. But someone sold me low-quality copper, so I don't get as much fire rate bonus as I could have. To go even further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers of an item with improved base stats. So a higher tier item will be better than a lower tier item that was made with materials of the same quality.
ADS time, yeah.
Making high-tier items requires more advanced materials, but is also how you access greater choice as to which stats to improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you. Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials. But you can also...
Hold on, I'm sorry. I want to go back and listen to that again real quick. Because this is the important part about the tiers.
Improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you. Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials.
So I'm trying to figure out, does the tiers depend on the materials used, right? The quality of the materials used. I guess these are like the small details that maybe we'll get more information on. I'm trying to figure out what makes it go from tier 1 to tier 3. Did I miss that earlier than this part?
Tier items requires more allows you to build higher tiers. Fire rate bonus as I could have. To go even further, researching your fabrication blueprints allows you to build higher tiers.
Okay, so it's the research that hires the tier and the material that changes the stats
of an item with improved base stats. So a higher tier item will be better than a lower tier item that was made with materials of the same quality. Making high tier items requires more advanced materials.
Okay, so it's research and materials. So there's a combination that I'm guessing isn't set in stone for each item that raises the tier of it. So it is kind of dependent on the statistics.
But is also how you access greater choice as to which stats to improve. This means that your high-tier items can not only be better overall, but also more specialized in the areas that are important to you.
That's pretty cool.
Most items will have tiers 1 to 3, with tier 1 being the most basic version of the item, and tier 3 being a highly advanced version made with appropriately impressive materials.
I'm going to make my R97 shotgun such high fire rate, it's going to be stupid. Mihai, thank you for the 5 subs over on Twitch, and Saze, thank you for the sub as well. Tyrus. Twitch Prime subs, of course. If you have Amazon Prime, you can support a streamer that you like on Twitch once a month. I appreciate you for using that for us, Saze.
But you can also craft vehicles.
Higher tiers, higher base stats, material quality on top of that. Okay.
And vehicles are so important that they will go up to tier 5, providing a way for you to really invest in making your favorite vehicles excel.
You guys notice how they keep using the Spirit for the example, by the way, in this panel? It's because the Spirit is superior.
Of course, many of you have already bought your favorite vehicles, so you don't really need to make them from scratch, right? Or maybe you've pirated, salvaged, or otherwise commandeered a vehicle. Not to worry. You can still benefit from crafting by using an upgrade blueprint to increase the tier of an existing vehicle, including the usual stat improvements and customization. Upgrading a vehicle can save a lot of time over crafting it from scratch, so it's a convenient way for established vehicle owners to bring the benefits of item stats to their fleet.
Make my C1
Let's
at the
take
platinum.
a look in-game at the difference it makes to have high-tier equipment made from high-quality materials. see how the recoil is reduced on our high-tier gun. The spooling is
Somebody's
faster
like, "That's
on a high-tier
insane."
quantum drive. And a high-tier scraper beam is much more effective.
I will never use a low-tier scraper beam again. They make me feel so inadequate.
So, that's an overview of crafting's key game mechanics. I'll now hand over to Torsten to walk you through the full crafting process. Thank you, and have a good day.
Gotta see how crazy they go with that. Because I imagine they don't want to be too crazy about it, right?
Thank you, Jacob. Hi, I'm Torsten, lead system designer of the CGP system design team.
A high fire rate Nerf gun. Bet Mrs. Tomato would like
We
that.
now saw all elements of
Hey, thanks for the
crafting
sub,
looked at
Superliminal.
individually. Let's bring them in order how you, as the player, will experience the crafting profession. You will start with acquiring the correct blueprints as the first step in the crafting process. As Jacob already mentioned, blueprints can be acquired in multiple ways. Let me give you some examples here. You can purchase commonly available blueprints, earn them from reputation and mission rewards, or even find them in loot crates. All content in our game could reward you with a blueprint. Some blueprints will be challenging to find, so players working together may find them easier to acquire. While you may find a blueprint on a datapad or other portable device, the blueprint itself is not a physical item. You don't collect them in a box or stack them on a bookshelf. Blueprints are digital. Once you claim one, it is permanently added to your personal library. This library is persistent to your character, and every blueprint you claim is yours forever.
So you find them on a physical object, you claim them into a digital library. But I guess that means it could be on a data pad, it could probably be in a computer, anything that can technically hold a digital item. Wonder how far they could go with that too. Like, could you technically find a blueprint by hacking some ship, some like NPC military ship? Could you hack it and steal a blueprint technically? Hollow Barista, thank you for the Prime sub. Appreciate you. Thanks for following too. Welcome.
They cannot be stolen or traded once claimed. But it does not just end with acquiring blueprints. Those tiers of quality that Jacob mentioned are unlocked through blueprint research. Research requires a research data bank which can upgrade your blueprints. Upgrading here means that you unlock a blueprint that allows you to create a better, higher tier version of the same item using more advanced materials. Note, you will still have access to the lower tier versions if you want to craft the cheaper version. In order to upgrade a blueprint, you may need to perform certain actions. In this example, we need to craft 100-volt pistols and have one with a higher fire rate. Other examples would be collect resources, complete missions, or acquire research data from the Science Guild.
Okay, so this is like you're just doing a random task and then they just give you the upgrade based on that task? Is that considered research? Because shouldn't research be sort of like, I don't know, finding things or something, like something that's a little more science-based? It feels like this is sort of, I don't know, research feels like it should be more science-y. You can learn a lot from making the same things 100 times. That's true. That is true. If you do something enough times, you start to feel like you can do it in your sleep. Skunker, thanks for the Prime sub as well.
In this example, we need to craft 100-volt pistols and have one with a higher fire rate. Other examples.
And then if you kill 5 people with the pistol, you're getting... I guess that, like, contextually, those tasks can make sense. Killing 5 people with the pistol can technically be like, oh, you're learning how the pistol works. You're a very smart person. You realize that shooting someone in the foot is better than shooting them in the pelvis. That'd be really rude to shoot someone in the pelvis with an electrical gun. Don't do that. But yeah, as long as I guess the research kind of contextually makes sense, that's cool. But at the same time, like if somebody signed up for research gameplay as a science person, and then you're like, hey, I'm gonna be sciencey guy, Bill Nye, and then they're like, okay, kill someone with this. You're like, wait a second, that's not science. Luna Maria, hello, welcome to the chat, or good to see you in chat. I think I saw you earlier. But the machine is doing it? Well, I mean, I'm pressing the button. If I've researched how to press the button 100 times, then maybe I can press the button much better.
Example would be collect resources, complete missions, or acquire research data from the Science Guild. Research is time intensive, in addition to the action requirements. It will take time for the research data bank to process your research data and unlock the upgrade. You are also limited in how many research projects you can pursue at once.
Dude, how would you guys feel if these timers with crafting or claiming or building or research ended up having some complications due to like the optional subscriptions in the game and stuff? Like if you were a subscriber, you'd get better research materials or something. Hey man, they gotta make money, so just saying, time is a commodity, and if they're not selling ships, they might be selling time. Who knows?
Every blueprint you find will have unique requirements in their resource needs. It will not just be you need iron. We want to make use of the professions we have to meaningfully involve them in the crafting process. Especially for the more advanced blueprints, you can expect that it will require materials from multiple sources. And, as already mentioned by Jacob, pay attention to the quality. If you want to have the perfect item, you also need the best quality. Here, the best way to find the best resources is to get out and explore the world. If you want to find the best hidden materials, then you get yourself a top quality radar. Once you collected the raw materials, the next step is refining them. Refining, like crafting, requires blueprints. Refining blueprints take primary, secondary, and catalyst materials and produce refined materials. The rule is very simple. The quality of the primary raw material defines the quality of the refined material. The secondary material you put in has an impact on the quantity and the time the refining process will take. An optional catalyst can speed up the process further. Let me give you a simple example. If you want high quality steel, you need to put in the best iron you have in the primary slot. You can put any quality coal in the secondary slot without affecting the quality of the steel. But the quality of the coal will influence how much of it you need to produce steel. As an example, if you put in low quality coal, you might require 4 SCU of coal versus high quality coal that only requires 2 SCU.
You gotta scrub that coal, you know? A great man once said, scrub the coal, make it clean. That's all you need.
This is one of the important use cases for low-quality materials that Jacob mentioned. You can use refining stations in the world as they will be converted to this new process. You can build your own refineries for yourself, you can get your org to help you out, or you can simply trade for the materials that you need on the open market. Now, we are reaching the final step, You got the blueprints, you gathered resources, and refined materials. Now you can create the item you want. And this item can be anything.
You say gold?
You will be able to craft anything from FPS equipment to vehicle components, even entire vehicles and buildings. You just need access to the relevant crafting machine.
This is so much. There's so many different items. All of those items will all have materials required, primary and secondary. All of those materials required will have different ratings of quality. All of those different ratings of quality will be defined by different locations they're found in and different refining processes. Just so much variability to be built in. It's like a completely different ethos from what we currently do in Star Citizen, because everything is so basic in the game. I mean, refining is already a time sink.
Talking about crafting machines. We will have a variety for you that differ in what process they can support, like a refinery or a dedicated vehicle crafting machine. We will also find them in various places. There will be communal ones like the station refineries you already know, player-owned that can be in your personal hangar, a vehicle, or your base. As all that we have talked about just now, these crafting machines also come in tiers. Here, the tiers will affect how well those machines do their job. You will not only progress in the products you produce, but also in the infrastructure to produce your wares. Just to give you an idea what you will encounter, here are some examples of the crafting machines. There's
Nutrition and chemical, man. That's what I'm looking at. Let's go. Garden strong, baby.
Nutrition fabricator, the chemical fabricator, an item fabricator, and even fabricators of a much larger scale we will talk about later. Talking about scale, I would like to talk about the future of crafting and the scale it will have in the game that you all know, and how it will change the game moving forward.
Starfab.
As you all know, we have a lot of items in the game, and they all require their own unique blueprints. That means our aim is to have more than 1,000 blueprints that include the creation and the refining blueprints. And each of those can be researched to unlock tier upgrades up to tier 3 or tier 5. That's a lot of blueprints. And it will surely take a lot of time to unlock everything. So I, personally, recommend that you, as the crafter you are, focus on a specific field first and extend your knowledge from there. Collaborate and coordinate with your friends and fellow players. If you are part of a group, we invite you to share responsibilities with your org mates. Maybe you will be the FPS crafter while your friend is a ship crafter, but they know a ship component crafter specialist. There's a lot of content, and it will continue to grow over time. You are free to be a generalist crafter, a specialist, or something in between. Pick the blueprints you care about and be the best. Have an exotic shield generator that no one else has the blueprint for but you. Help others and earn credits while doing so. It is a real profession in the game that will benefit from your dedication and attention. As you can tell, crafting will have a huge impact on everything in the game. Even if you do not want to get actively involved, at some point you will stumble over a weapon that got crafted by someone else and you will be using it. People will start selling their crafting goods or the refined materials or even the raw materials for the sole purpose of fulfilling the demand created by crafting.
I want to booby trap a gun so it explodes when some random person picks it up and finds it. Put me in that chaotic evil slot of the the player archetype.
Players like you can become well-known specialists that are sought out to get certain things crafted from. With the ever-expanding game we all love, we will continuously expand our crafting to offer you long-term progression that involves the entirety of our game. And you might have guessed it already, but there's one more thing that crafting is the foundation of, and that is base building.
Where it really gets good.
I will now hand over to Luke. Enjoy the second part.
You
of
gonna
this
infiltrate
presentation.
GII, steal our research,
Thank you very much.
sabotage? That's not very nice. We're just good people making our own home in Magnus. Leave us alone, huh? There's plenty of stars out there. Legendary space halibut.
Citizens.
Nothing but the halibut. I'm like slouching over here.
Who is excited to start talking about this next topic?
Yeah, it'll take a little while for
My
Magnus.
name is Luc Gijsbertse. I'm the lead environment artist on base building structures. Now that we have an understanding of the fundamentals of crafting, thanks to Jacob and Thorsten, we can explore how crafting is the foundation of base building.
Don't worry about the exploding guns.
Up until now, everything in the game we made for you. From here on, we will give you the tools to build your own stories, your own homes, and truly make the universe yours. Join me on a journey on building our own habitable home on Pyro. Keep in mind-
Those things don't mix. Pyro's never habitable. Otherwise, people are not doing their job. Hello, welcome in. Sunday went from real to surreal to totally unreal. Yeah, it's gonna need more information on the space stations, huh?
That the following footage is work in progress, including its UI, design, and visuals. And we're super excited to share this with you. We found a beautiful location by a lake. This is where we'll build ourselves a home. To do so, we need some resources and the construction graph card. The construction graph card.
See, this is what I think people are getting when they like bought their land claims before. You're not getting actual land. They never sold land. I think these are the like beacons that you'll be able to get, because this is what defines if you can have land or not. At least that's the way I take it. No, there are no streamer clients in this game. That'd be funny though. We sit in the queues same as everyone else.
Allows us to survey the land, claim the land in a lawful system, and it allows us to build structures. As we've already found the location and don't need to claim land in lawless Pyro, we can straight dive into building our base. Keep in mind, the following UI is work in progress.
I like that throughout all this, they talk about how the camera is basically just a drone, and I wonder if that whole physical process will play out. Like you see a drone go up into the sky, and then it links you into this drone and makes it look like you're looking down through the camera of that drone, or if they're just going to be like, oh yeah, you're looking down and there's a drone there. Sure, yeah, whatever. Because that's a cool little I don't know what to call it, physicalized lore piece, whatever type of thing. Draws you in.
A survey drone that deploys from the top of the card gives us a controllable augmented view of the land.
Yeah, bases
In the
will
new
be
structure
derelict
mode,
if they're abandoned.
We'll pick a small basic structure and hit construct. For this demo, the construction will be instantaneous, but in the final product, this will take you quite some time.
No, they didn't sell land. They sold the ability to get land. So basically, they sold you the land beacon, but you don't actually have land in the game until they launch that feature. You go out and you find that land, which is the same thing anybody can do once they get one of these.
We've done it. We've built our first structure. Let's have a look on the inside.
As we walk into the small basic structure, we see an empty interior that is dimly lit. It's up to us to define what we will use this space for. In our case, we will want to make it into a home. We can see that the lights are still off, and that is a problem, because no lights means no atmosphere, no breathable atmosphere. So it's not ideal to live in. So how do we solve this issue? We can improve this by providing the building with power.
Live in the
Let's see
helmet.
if we can build something that helps us out. But before we dive into more building, let's take a quick moment to enjoy the freedom that the survey drone provides us with and admire the aesthetics of our first structure. And I wonder what Declan was up doing there.
Ooh.
Keep in mind that base building is still...
Oh, hey, he's like... He kind of like... Did he despawn? Sort of. He walks in here.
Our first structure.
And he walks through the interior door.
And I wonder what Declan was up doing there.
Oh no, he's just in the shadow over here.
Keep in mind that base building is still work in progress, but what you're seeing right now has been recorded directly in the client and works seamlessly between first person and the building mode. Okay, enough. Back to base building.
Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I did not think that they would have things like liquid extractors and refineries and stuff. I mean, I know this isn't in-game, but I figured they would just be doing things like little habs to start us off with. Granted, I did think that was going to be something like Q1, Q2 of next year. We don't know when this kind of stuff would come in, but to have everything from extraction services to power supplies and refinery systems, it's more than I thought we would see from the first sort of release of base building. I hope that all this is included.
In the list of new structures, we see a small fuel generator. That is something that could solve our problem, I think. Power providing structures need to be hooked up to other buildings inside construction ER mode, but we'll explain this later. The fuel generator is one of several structures that provides power, each with their own benefit and drawbacks. Fuel power is quick and easy to build, but it requires a constant supply of fuel besides its regular maintenance. If a structure is not maintained, it will halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here. That should do it. Let's see if we got power in the building now.
Just firing off some light pollution.
As you notice, some of the crates in the background have disappeared, as their
How about these trees though, sir? Is that...
content has been consumed during the construction process of the buildings. And it looks like Declan is now hooking up the power to the building. I wonder what he was up to earlier though. Wow, Declan has been busy decorating the place. As we can see, the lights are now properly working. We got atmosphere, and we can start to use the item fabricator now that there is power. Always handy in case we need a fuse. Let's have a quick look at what we've done so far. We've decorated the place. We made it our own little home.
Yeah, Declan just kind of cluttered up the place.
With power. I would say we have a place that we can live in.
Declan's like, here's my decoration, boxes.
But I think it's just enough to call it a home. Thank you.
All right, we're gonna take this moment to, I believe there is a bit of a, there was a bit of a interview from Benoit regarding different things, different topics, but one of the things he touched on was base building. Let me see if I can find the post talking about that? Because I do think he confirmed some things about how this would all work. Given base building, let's see. Schema transfer, the economy, yada 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 yada. With base building coming up, all the systems you would like to settle in. No, did I read it somewhere else? I feel like they did talk about base building and the complications about it. Maybe I am missing it. There was some interesting stuff in here about server meshing, but that's not really what we're talking about today. No, I think maybe I read it somewhere else. Outside of that, I also wanted to touch on Rastar, which is where this whole system is coming from.
Of how base building works. Let's dive into some of the specifics of what
So,
we
like,
just saw.
this whole view.
One that deploys.
This originally comes from their system Rastar, which reportedly has been a little bit difficult to work with, but they have been building out for quite some time. We saw it for the first time, I think, back in like 2021. Back here.
Basically, artists create small parts of homesteads that we can then snap together. Every part is modular, so we can interchange multiple ones in order to have procedural homesteads. Every change is very simple. We can change like the whole inside of a homestead, or only a building that is a part of the homestead. In that way, it's very easy to make a lot of different buildings. Once something is connected, it is considered a part of the whole. So it moves as one, it can be deleted and changed.
So this is just some clips that I found from before.
It works as a modular system, where locations will in fact be made of small elements that will be placed just like you do in City Builder RTS editor. And in a matter of minutes, we now have a new location where we can now create a bunch of cool gameplay.
But you can see just like how not polished this system was back then. And even now, you know, they're still getting it into the point where it will work decently for players. But essentially, the system that they've been using to create outposts for quite some time is the same one that we're going to eventually use to create our own bases. And you can see how it's kind of been developing over time. This is a little bit more recently, like a year after that first one we looked at. And they did tell us back then that this would eventually be, I think they told us during like a CitizenCon. In fact, I don't remember which one, but they told us that it would be eventually the tool that we used to create bases in the game. And now here we are, finally. Yeah, I think I can link that post for you.
The graph card allows us to survey the land, to find a good location, to claim the land with credits when we're all in a lawful system like Stanton, and most importantly, it lets us build structures. To use the graph card, we will first need to deploy it. Once deployed, we see two small construction zones inside the card, and the interactive screen gets revealed to us. From here, we can deploy the survey drone from the extended top part of the card. This survey drone gives us a bird's-eye view of the surrounding area using augmented reality mode, ER mode for short. Let's have a look at some UI concepts of how this augmented reality mode will look like. Here's a concept of construction ER. From here, we get a more detailed view of the land. Where can and can't I settle? For an example, inside a nature reserve, construction will be prohibited. Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity?
This is like one of the most exciting changes in the game to me, something I've been waiting for such a long time. Resources in the ground, and knowing that they are like long-term resources that you have to work on to deplete, that you can... This was the first thing I thought of when we saw last year at CitizenCon. They showed us a quick mock-up of a planetary surface map, which we still don't have. Very, very aware of the fact that we still don't have this, but they were showing this briefly at the end of the mapping segment.
Which will truly help you
Got a video now? And then there's our interior map technology, which will truly help you understand your surroundings. Better awareness of your surroundings and threats, exploring mapping new areas, pinning locations for later and sharing these with your friends.
I mean, that's data running. And they were teasing it already last year with this. And the idea of surveying a planet is where you get the data like this from. And taking that survey data, sending it to your friend, taking it to a space station to sell, just holding on to it for your org, that's data running gameplay. And we're like, they keep showing us different components of that, slowly getting closer and closer. And I know this is just a concept, but gosh, it feels like we're so close. That's really a big part of why I joined this game. This is really leaning into the gameplay that I've been waiting for. Exciting to see. And I hope that the Prospector teaser that we saw, whatever ship it was, one of the ships that is supposedly coming in the next 12 months, has a very prospectory look to it. And I don't know if it's specifically a prospector, if it's a different type of prospector, or here it is. Like, I don't know if this is a possible rework to the Prospector, kind of like they did with the Reclaimer last year, where they showed the Reclaimer because it was getting modularity, and they're showing the Prospector because it's getting something else, or if this is a ship that just looks a lot like it, or what. But I do hope, if this is the actual Prospector itself, maybe they're talking about bringing it up to the standard of being able to mine into the ground, into resource deposits directly in the ground. Prospector Max, it does look a little bit bigger than a Prospector, eh? Like, these people, I don't know. I don't know the Prospector well enough to know if it looks like this or not. You heard it salvage? That'd be weird. I feel like all they'd need to do for that is just have a different tool on the front. Doesn't look that big to you? Do you feel like it would need to be exceptionally bigger to make sense to make something that looks so much like the Prospector? Yeah, I think we'll see underground mining. We've got to with this, with resource deposits underground. Got to be able to mine them in some way.
Are nearby areas flat enough to place my structures on? Are there any underground extraction deposits nearby? And if so, what are their quality and quantity?
Makes sense if it was dropping down cargo for it to be some kind of salvage, yeah.
Let's say we found a good place to start building our base. Then next up, we need to find a good place for our first structure. On the left-hand side, we can see that we're now in structure creation mode. Underneath that, there is a list of structures that we can build. Once you have chosen a structure, you'll drag it onto the terrain, that will be shown then as a physicalized hologram.
First Quantum made me want to play Star Citizen as a 4X game. Now this base building mode is making me want to play it as an RTS. Just build these other games, man. Why are you making an MMO?
From here, you can move and rotate to find the perfect position for your structure. Now that we have chosen a position for our structure, we will need to supply it with crafting materials. Just like the crafting interface that we saw earlier, this is where you choose the materials, and the better materials you choose will result in a better structure. Once you're ready, we'll hit the craft button on the right bottom.
Gonna build a tier 3 outhouse.
Construction drones printing to the buildings. The automated construction drones will take off from the construction graph card and fly to nearby resources to fill their internal storage, and then fly over to the construction site to print the building until their internal storage has been depleted. The construction drone then repeats the loop by filling its internal storage again by nearby resources. Printing buildings will take some time. Keep the construction supplied so that you don't delay the process any further.
Hey, thank you for the super chat. BB&J said, just want a cozy little desert hut on Daymar, blue milk and moisture farming. Anyone? I'll stick to regular milk. Maybe the strawberry stuff is pretty good, but I don't know about blue milk. Sneaky Doc Waffle, thank you for the Prime sub, and J Lou, you as well. Appreciate you guys.
Let's say our building did just finish printing. Then what? Then we need power. We need to power the building.
Get that power.
All structures will have a unpowered and a powered state that we can manage inside the resource manager. To provide structures with power, we can easily link generators to structures that need power in the resource management menu within Construction ER. We can also link multiple buildings together. And we can assess the power consumption and shortage of inside this resource management screen.
It's like Satisfactory without the spaghetti.
Keep in mind that operational structures, like power generators, require maintenance of their fuses and sometimes need supplies coming in and going out to be managed. Now that we have a structure and power, what can we do next? Then we can actually upgrade our structure. Structures can be upgraded from tier 1 till tier 3. The better material you provide, the better the improvement will be. Just like Jacob and Thorsten explained in the crafting presentation.
Low carb Satisfactory. I love it, man.
Tier upgrades can, for example, improve the structural integrity of the building or make its resource consumption more efficient.
Wait a second.
To make its
hacking level? See, now, they haven't really talked about hacking gameplay, but if you have resource management in the base, then hacking into the resource management system is going to be very interesting kinds of gameplay. Imagine if you could go in on like a stealthy mission. It makes me think of that game that we almost got that was going to be amazing, StarCraft Ghost. Imagine you go in as like a very low detection recon special ops kind of person into a base of a rival org, and you like hack their resource management system and make their mining extractor fail or blow up or something. Give me that sweet, sweet fucking espionage. Oh, yes.
Resource consumption.
Of course I remember SC Goes. I was excited for that, man.
To really make your base feel like home, you will want to decorate your base with a wide variety of furniture pieces that can be bought, crafted, and found in the universe. It's up to you to define what you want this space to be. Do you want to decorate it as a hospital? Do you want to make it into a workshop? Do you want to make it into a luxurious bedroom? It's up to you.
A luxurious growery,
Furniture can
please.
easily be placed and moved using decorative ER mode as a hologram. This is so your furniture can easily fit through doors. This feature is accessible through nearby construction devices, allowing you to place down furniture pieces or even crafting machines that otherwise wouldn't fit through the door. And you get to place them directly from your local inventory. The less trusted among you, or anyone settling in Pyro for that matter, may want to mag-lock their furniture into place so that only you and your friends get to rearrange your decorations. And best of all, decorative ER is not exclusive to base building and can also be used for personal hangars and ships.
We all have to assume with how good these UIs they're looking, from their org stuff to their social apps to like some of this, to even like just the simple UIs we're seeing from interactions and zero-G movement and stuff, we're going to get something much better for equipment management on our players. The systems they've come up with so far are clearly placeholder, and I really hope that we get to learn what that might be, or even see what it is and get it into the game sometime in the next year, because equipment management on the player right now is such a pain.
To recap, what are the essentials for any base? 1. Come prepared, bring the right resources and a construction device with you. 2. Use the resource manager, power generators to make your base habitable and functional. And maintain your base with resources and by replacing out worn fuses. And 3. Personalize your base personal hangar and ship with decorative ER. And there we have it, our home in Pyro. Now that we have an understanding of the basics of base building, we'll explore how you can go and make more than just a home. But before I hand you over to Declan, the designer behind base building, I'd like to say a quick thank you for those who made this presentation possible. So a quick thank you to Eddie, Brandon, Jack, Dan, Mark, Xiao, Stefan C, Dom, Stefan T, Carl, Joel, and Rob for your efforts and dedication.
I really think that
Give me a warm welcome for Declan.
It's crazy how big a deal resource management is outside of just ships, which is really what we've been thinking for quite a while, ever since they started talking about it. With regards to outposts and space stations, so much possibilities there. I'm not necessarily talking about an inventory. I'm talking about like an actual equipment management app or whatever it might be. Something that allows you to organize stuff as opposed to just see what you have on you. And I definitely think it's going to be something beyond the loot screen that they built into Squadron and all that. Inside Star Citizen's probably going to start up again in the next couple weeks. They're definitely going to have Inside Star Citizen during IAE. So I would think sometime in November we'll see them start coming back. They probably said something more specific about it, but I don't remember.
Nice one, James. All right. Thank you, Luke. Good morning, everyone.
Declan.
Morning.
Nice decorating, dude.
My name is Dec. I am the system designer behind crafting and base building, and we've just seen a nice little base, right? That's good for cabin in the woods. Maybe you want to place it down next to the big redwoods, go and explore, or a place to stash some loot you perhaps shouldn't have, but...
We're at 480. Come on, YouTube. Give me that crisp quality Declan.
Do you want to see a big base?
There we go.
Good, because we're going to industrialize. So we're going to set ourselves a goal before we do a video, and we're going to create a base that's capable of crafting something that's bigger than the item fabricator can handle.
I'm going to look at Star Wars Galaxies at some point, yeah.
So to kick us off, called in the help of a friend who has a specialized, not yet revealed base building vehicle, and he's built us this. It is the construction hub. This has 4 automated drones compared to the Gravcarts 2. They can build small, medium, and large buildings. So far, we've only seen small.
You're hoping we get instance org bases, our own asteroid to hollow out with the prospector, then fill with the walls. Maybe we'll get asteroids at some point. I don't think they'll instance them, though. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. Oh, God, YouTube. It's really not that hard, man. Come on. We, like, streamed this live in 4K. Really? You can't play it back? What is it, the Star Citizen server streaming this in? Let me refresh the page. Oh, God, it's live chat. Ah, my eyes.
Quite a big advantage.
Sorry, they're not as good as you guys. Dude, can I... 144p? Oh my God, did the hamsters downstairs stop running? Why can't I stream this? Our router's been acting really weird today, guys. Okay. Oh yeah, this is beautiful. Wow, fidelity. Oh my God, I'm immersed. There we go. Yeah, 144 is ridiculous. What am I watching this on an Apple Watch?
We'll get down a generator, we'll connect some buildings together, just so we have a place to call home before we begin. All right, there we go. So we've settled on one of the brand new underground resource deposits, and we're about to exploit it using this. It is our extractors. This particular one is a large, solid extractor. We'll also have liquid and gas, depending on which type of deposit that you've settled on.
They really need to be just playing some, at least make music that sounds like Satisfactory so I can play, like, wouldn't that be so funny if they had Pedro just make something that had that Satisfactory vibe that played whenever you're doing base building stuff? Come on.
We have our output grid here, where we're getting all the brand new resources up out the ground.
Yeah, you got that.
And it is important to note that
there's planetary deformation going on here, which is you can go way back. I want to say to ISC. I think it was here.
More.
Is it here? Yeah. It's the first time we ever saw that they were planning on doing this stuff.
They're being developed. So
Jack, can I
This is like 2021.
show you one more thing that I've been messing around with?
Sure, Will. Just don't get me in trouble.
So here I've put together our grenade launcher with a crater modifier just to see what we could do with this. And now when I fire a grenade launcher, we get a nice little dent in the terrain where I fired it. We can essentially...
No, I don't know if this is directly related. I just feel like this is the first time we ever saw some kind of planetary deformation in the builder. And it took a while for them to do anything that allowed players to deform the terrain, but it seems like base building is the first place we'll be able to.
Go and create some craters. Obviously this is me messing around. This isn't something that's in game, but just something that I've been having a little bit of fun with. Hopefully we'll be able to use something like this in the future, but no promises. This is just a bit of fun.
So now just let us dig caves, CIG. We're almost there.
once these things are set up, it's not a case of just free resources forever. On key structures like this, there are fuses which will occasionally need replaced, as well as environmental wear which can be fixed using crafting materials.
A jukebox. There is a gnarly amount of detail already involved in this.
All right, now we want to turn those raw resources into the more valuable refined materials we saw the process talked about earlier with Thorsten. Of course, we want this. It is our refinery. Once again, there are multiple types here. This one is the large solid matter refinery. We have liquid and gas again, as well as biological, depending on the type of materials that you're using and want to produce. Refinery has input and output grids. For input, as you might expect, it's for the resources which you're going to consume, and then the output is for the resulting refined goods. This is a terminal where you'd select which blueprint you want to use, and therefore which type of refining method you want.
If you're looking to get to the org page, just use the link down below here, or go to just type gii.app into your web browser. That'll bring you to the website. And yes, we will have plenty of bases like this. Oh my god, it's going to be a lot.
Here with our extractor and our refinery, so we're going to put down our elevator storage.
Oh my god, it just deleted a pillar of rock.
This is really starting to build up now, but it's worth me mentioning again here that whilst we're putting these buildings down instantly in this video, large structures like this, they will take some time with the automated construction drones, but the smaller scale base we saw in the previous video, that can be done in a single play session.
Did you just say this is Unreal Engine? I quit. I don't have enough drink left. Greybox is just art, not actual implementation. I wouldn't say that.
We'll just keep on putting
In
down
fact, I can show you the exact video where they say the opposite of that. Check this out. So if you go to what they have to say about gray box and white box stuff.
And working with the tech design team, we can start actually adding weapons to it. We can start actually adding a rudimentary cockpit and have positions for the animations to work properly. So we can actually go into the game, walk up to this very blocky looking ship, press a button, and then climb into it and start flying the ship really early on.
Wait, this is too old to be reliable, so you think they've gone backwards from this? Like their gray box has gotten worse than it was in 2017? Anything past 6 months old might not. Okay, well, you can just talk to yourself about that then.
Or extractors, because we want as much as that valuable resource out of the ground as quick as possible. And with base building, we're introducing the concept of a freight elevator network. What this will allow you to do is it will allow you to link multiple freight elevators together, and in turn they will share the same storage. So as we're doing here, we'll deposit an item on freight elevator A, and then we're retrieving it on freight elevator B. There is a distance limit, but you can daisy chain the elevators together to extend that, and it has to all be contained within the same base.
I appreciate that. Still sticking to the physical storage is pretty nice. It's not magical, so you still have to have people on the ground actually moving stuff around here. Like, who wants to spend all their time at a base? Just never getting up into space anymore in your space sim. You're just moving boxes around at a base.
Now, as we expand, we might want to invite more people to join us. This is easy to do. There will be permissions that we can set up, granting people access to our base, and they can even build their own structures if they wish. We can also give them access to existing structures, which is how you can form your org storage.
Nobody's standing on chairs, fake. Fake. Yeah, I mean, I'm not actually saying that's a bad thing. I would definitely spend a lot. Honestly, this would be... Okay, I feel like there is an opportunity for CIG to give people the choice of starting out the game in multiple ways. You could start it out kind of like a No Man's Sky start, where you're just stranded on the side of some moon or planet or something, and you have to find a way to get off there by slowly building up your spaceship. B, you can start in a city and get like that sort of corpo lifestyle start. C, you could start in a space station as like a Belta Loda, kind of getting the space vibe straight off the bat. Or 7, you could start at like a base, a groundside base, where you're like a scrub, a grunt, and you're just supposed to work your way up and eventually get off there. All of those situations, I feel like, would give you the opportunity of seeing a part of the game for like your first hour or two of gameplay, and then just unloading the scale of the game as you start to move away from that starting location. I hope they do something like that. I feel like they've got something very specific in mind for how everybody is supposed to start the game. But I hope that they can allow people to start either as like a ground pounder, getting into some immediate missions, or like a spacer, you know? Don't mess with the water, don't mess with the agua kind of thing. That'd be cool. I would definitely start out on a base like this and just spend 2 hours moving boxes around and getting into mining missions and stuff.
Now, we always want a safe place to store our ships, so the trusty hangar will do. See, it has this large, we call it a foundation tile. It's quite special in that it can actually deform the terrain around it, making it easy to place such a huge structure like this. You can also place other buildings on it, so it's easy for making large, sprawling bases.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
However,
a way to buy the game without buying a ship.
That we need to achieve our goal, and it is this, our very own fabrication hangar. Does anyone want to guess what we're going to build in a fabrication hangar?
Probably like a really, really, really high quality, really good ship that everybody should be just absolutely falling over themselves to get. I can't imagine what ship they would build in the fabricator, but it must be like the best ship in the game or something like that, right? Gotta be. What else would you build? Show off your tip-top technology. Yeah, this would have been a cool chance to unveil a new ship. Like you walk in and they're building the Star Lancer.
Looks like whatever it is, it's just about finished crafting.
Must be something amazing in there.
Of course, we were going to build ourselves a ship.
I feel like they could have not said anything about building ships up until this moment, and this would have been the reveal that you could build ships. But they just, like, they had already said it, so everybody was like, ooh, maybe it's a new ship. This is a perfect time for a new ship reveal. And then it was a ship we already know about. Granted, it's the best ship in the game, so, like, good move on their part with that. But besides that, this would have been an awesome time to either introduce a new ship or make this the reveal that we could build ships. Fast and cheap. Get out. Get out of here.
So, quick recaps of the gains from industrializing. We've tapped into the brand new resources and we've made use of them by turning into the more valuable refined materials. We've introduced freight elevator networks, which are great for logistics and hauling. And then we've created our fabrication hangar, which allows us to craft big valuable items such as ships. Now, ships are valuable because you can fly them, you can play content with them, but because they are a crafted item, they can also be sold to other players.
That's where it gets real, dude. Maybe we'll do a little bit of a look into Star Wars Galaxies after this, because this is huge, man. And I wish that they got a little bit more into Star Sim and how player bases factor into the overall economy because of this kind of thing. But being able to make your own storefronts is gonna be crazy.
So, with base building, you're going to be able to set up your own shops, and there's two main ways you can do this. The first is using a dedicated trading terminal. You can link these to your freight elevators, and in turn, any items within can be listed for sale at a price you deem reasonable. This includes resources, refined materials, and so on. Using the terminal, visiting players can browse what's on offer, purchase, and then collect from that same freight elevator. The second method is to set up a physical shop in the world. By using the decorator AR we saw earlier with Luke, you can maglock items and then list them for sale. Once again, browsing players, they can see the price of the maglocked item, purchase it, which then removes the maglock.
Okay. Y'all know what this is the basis for? Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please. Also, I actually asked the podcast yesterday. I had 4 different guests on. Astro Historian, Havoc, 10 Pound 42, and Red Monster, and we all gave our kind of estimates of what we could see being possible for Star Citizen 1.0. I think in 3 to 6 years window, with the emphasis more towards 6. But I don't know. I really don't know, because once we hit 4.0 and server meshing, and especially once we hit Squadron 42, the pace of development could change a lot. Like, there's just so much. That's why my window is so freaking huge, because there's so many different ways the development could go. It depends a lot on how much money they're making, depends a lot on the progress they make with Squadron, depends a lot on how stable the game becomes after server meshing. So I think there's just so many variables that go into how long it could take to reach a 1.0 for Star Citizen. And it's too early to really tell, which is why they gave no sort of time estimate on their own end, because I think they're kind of in the same boat. But this is getting us ready for the merchantmen. And honestly, I was thinking, what's the point of putting in the merchantmen until you guys have player-run storefronts? And in my mind, I was like, player-run storefronts are pretty far away in the future. But here we go. This is it, man.
That kind of like
this is what it gets us ready
leading, shapes that kind of like lead you through the ship, as opposed to what we're so used to on a lot of our human manufactured ships, whereas everything's hard and angled and flat. Really, the only thing in this ship that's flat is the floor.
So the negotiation table has one seat at the top for the actual mediator, which obviously would be a member of the crew, and then even number of seats on either side for the delegates to have their discussions. From the actual meeting room, you get a fantastic view of the cargo hold, where all of your goods would actually be stored. As you can see, the amount of cargo that the ship holds is colossal. And just the sheer volume of it gives you this cavernous, cathedral-like view of being stuck in the rafters of a warehouse worth of stock.
Yeah, it gives you a real sense of how tall the ship actually is.
Jesus,
when we get to the market,
so much cargo.
You kind of get a glimpse at that, but it's not until you get into somewhere like this that spans the whole, or not even the whole height. You've got the hangar above.
This also, though, gets us ready for this ship. I don't think we don't have any videos for that, huh? Oh, do we not have any videos about this ship?
One behind where the camera is. In the main cargo bay with the 1 UEC a day.
Yeah, here we go.
Shop. The area cargo bay being the storage for those shops. And I'm now going to try and explain shopping in 60 seconds whilst not being Tony Zerowek. So, the basic process for this is you have your Kraken privateer. The shops are modular, as you mentioned. They're, think, converted cargo container crates that have shops built into them. The Kraken will come with a default generic selection. If you want to change them down the line, feel free.
That last one was an alien ship, yeah.
You pick your shop archetype. Like I'm
this is
pick
the human
my
version.
Clothing shop archetype. I put it in shop 1 slot. I hire Paul, my shopkeeper, to run that shop. Pay him 1 UEC a day to do that.
Cheapskate.
I buy 500 Big Benny's hats.
And we're not going to have NPC crew as confirmed today by Benoit, probably not by 1.0.
Which takes up so many SEU of space, and I put it in shop 1's cargo grid. So each shop has its own cargo grid. You can't pool them all together and have one shop selling 1 million things. They're all split up. When that shop's cargo grid is empty, you need to go replenish it. You set your profit margins on them, plus or minus, if you really want to do that. And then hopefully make some profit. And for those merchantman owners out there, the merchantman is going to work in essentially the same way. They have shops, you buy stock, the stock is held in the cargo grid along with shared just cargo space, and the shops use that.
Oh yeah, my bad. It wasn't Benoit. It was Rich Tyrer that said it would be after 1.0. So now that we are seeing the actual gameplay thought process behind shops in the verse, suddenly it becomes more realistic to think that the Kraken Privateer and Merchantman aren't immediate additions to the game, but at least, in the next couple of years, I wasn't even like, that's what I always am thinking to myself. I'm like, man, those ships are nowhere near coming. There's no shops or talk of player sales whatsoever in the game, and now they're finally broaching the subject. So that's good to see for people who own those ships. Hope you get them soon, merchantmen owners. You guys you've been abused. Not as much as the Idris people though.
Of course, the nice thing with physical shops is you can genuinely make it feel like a store. You can put items on shelving. You can even go as far as to make your own ship showroom. You can advertise your wares on a Mobigraph pass for UEC. However, it is important to note that the point of purchase will always occur at the base itself. Now that we know how to set up shop, I just want to take a moment to talk about why it's so impactful for crafting and base building the game as a whole. Understandably, throughout this presentation, we've been telling you why you want to craft all these things or why you want to build this big base. But maybe you don't have the time to build a big base and maintain it. Maybe you want to spend your time doing the missions, you want to do your beacons, that's how you want to make your credits instead. Shops mean that you can benefit.
Wait, did he say Moby Glap ass? Hold on, I missed that.
Pass for UEC, make your own ship showroom. You can advertise your wares on a Mobigraph pass for UEC, however...
He said Mobiglap ass. Oh, I'm gonna Mobiglap that ass. That's pretty funny. That's a good slip.
It is important to note that the point of purchase will always occur at the base itself. Now that we know how to set up shop, I just want to take a moment to talk about why it's so impactful for crafting and base building the game as a whole. Understandably, throughout this presentation, we've been telling you why you want to craft all these things or why you want to build this big base. But maybe you don't have the time to build a big base and maintain it. Maybe you want to spend your time doing the missions, you want to do your beacons, that's how you want to make your credits instead. Shops mean that you can benefit from the players who do want to spend the time making those bases or crafting those specialist items, and then you can purchase them from them, which is very important because crafted items using high quality materials will be the most powerful in the game. On the flip side,
that's just gonna keep coming back to me. Like, no hate on him. You can make mistakes when you're talking. It's just a really funny misspeak.
if you do specialize, maybe you end up cornering the markets for a particular item or resource, and your shop will then turn into a hotspot of activity, making you loads of credits. Some of you will become infamous because of it. But bear in mind, a successful shop also depends on location. Do you want your customers on Edge and Pyro, which tends to have the higher quality materials? Or do you want to spend time hauling them all the way over to safer systems where your customers can be more at peace?
Mm-hmm. Here at Garden Growery Services, your product is brought to you. Tell us where you're at and we'll make sure to plop down a base within 10 minutes and ship. Why did I just switch from like a high-tech tech firm voice to a down south water buffalo salesman? We'll bring the base on to you. Tell us right where you are and we'll get the proper pharmaceutical needs and green groweries down to your front doorstep so you don't got to take your spaceship. You can take ours. I guarantee it.
We've talked about selling items. Let's sell the look of your base. We have foundation tiles, which can help you divide up the foundation decals, which help you divide up the foundation tile. You can place them freely wherever you want, and they just help you mark up areas like, I want to use this place for cargo, I want this for housing, vehicles, and so on.
Yeah, I watched Scooter.
You'll be able to earn paints in-game and apply them to buildings. As well as add your own custom text. So if you're part of an org, the blue buildings that have your name are definitely yours.
Dude, what if you like make your building look like somebody else's to trick them to fly over to you and then blow them up as they get close? Oh, all my evil ambitions are coming out this stream. I swear I'm a nice person.
We have some forms of base building which are either still in the design phase or early white box, but we want to share some details.
Farming.
First up, we have farming and ranching. Farming, it comes in two general types. We have our low-tech farming and then high-tech. Low-tech consists of you acquiring the seeds, planting them in the appropriate environment. If you remember back to yesterday, the Brave New Worlds, we had soil types and such now. That'll play a part. As well as supplying them with nutrients and then just harvesting them when they're grown. High-tech, it's a bit more involved because you've got to make the hydroponic buildings we see here, but in return, you'll be able to grow exclusive strains of plants.
Yeah, I think the illegal drugs will be consumables. I think they'll come from plants that you can farm yourself, and then you could just go around your greenhouse and chomp into the plants before realizing that there's a little refining that needs to be done before it gives you the extra loopies.
Ranching will allow you to keep herds of animals. You'll have to provide them with feed, water, and shelter, but in return, they will provide you with produce. Not every animal can be ranched. I don't really see a sandworm ranch anytime soon, but the quasi-grazer will, of course, will.
Space whales.
Not yet. Maybe. No.
Space whale ranch.
We have a few more additional archetypes. We have landing pads, garages, roads, fencing, as well as new variants of structures which we've seen today. For instance, the power generator, there'll be solar power, fusion, geothermal, as well as the XL structure class.
Geothermal power, does that mean that they're going to have like fissures or geysers? Like they didn't even show that in Genesis. I didn't even think about that. But like, are there going to be... I don't even want to get in the speculation game there. It's too much. It's too much.
So if you remember, everything we've seen today, the biggest we've seen today, rather, is large. XL is larger than large. And then you have your defense. So, in lawful areas, you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your...
That's like really important, I think people need to know, is that if you build a base in a place that is controlled by UEE, and they talk about this later on, it's not just, like, not everywhere in a UEE system is safe to build in. They've got, your lawful systems are split into low and high risk.
A mixture of high, medium, and low security areas.
So if you're in a high security area, which I guess is one of these planets, maybe the moons are medium security, I don't really know. You don't even have to worry about your base being attacked overnight or while you're not there. It's basically, you're good. Your base is good. It is confirmed to be safe. You won't have to worry about that. It's when you start to get into the medium or low risk areas that you have to start thinking about, okay, if I've logged off, am I part of a group where people will be able to log on quickly, or what? How does that work? Because I don't think they could get away with just having it be like that for everybody. Like, you gotta have the ability to have a base in a place where you don't have to worry about it if you're not there. We have lives, okay? I'm sorry, I base build in real life. My bad. I gotta go take care of my house. Can't just be living it up in Star Citizen all the time. Planets are in high sec, but the planet has a shield the whole time. I think you're forced to pay the taxes for that shield. Like, if you don't pay those taxes, you're just not going to have a base, essentially. It's like not paying taxes in a city in real life. They're gonna be like, hey, I see you're not paying for this. Someone might be able to sneak in,
So,
maybe.
in lawful
Don't know
areas,
about that.
you have varying levels of security provided for you. With max security, you are protected by planetary shield tech. However, in lawless, pyro and the likes, you'll have to provide your own defenses. These come in the form of perimeter walls, shielding, which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets, such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel. To round up, whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can, of course, have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons, across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost.
Dude, I don't know where the heck I read what I read, but I keep getting flashes of the information that I've read just like today or yesterday about base building stuff, about the idea that as you build more and more stuff on a single planet, the price of that stuff will scale up. So it'll be much harder and harder to continue to build bigger on a single planet. Did anybody else read that? Do you know where that was from? Like, where did I get this from? I swear it was either Rich or Benoit or somebody who gave this information like today or yesterday. And it must have been, I don't know where that was from. On SC? You've read the same? Where is that from? It was a dev on Spectrum. Right. Are we aware of... Hold on. Let me see if I can go to the dev tracker. Shut up, Tortle. No, it was not 6 months ago. I see, my short-term memory is worse than my long-term memory. I don't know where this is from. Oops. This is not what I meant to go to. Man, I hate that they removed the dev tracker from the main page. Let me see. Destroy or relocate function of bases, do extraction sites, run dry. Okay, I think it was this thread. I think this is Declan who's answering questions here. Each extraction deposit does indeed have a limited amount of SCU available. New deposits will spawn when certain resource scarcity conditions are met. Just to be clear, it's a new deposit in a new location, not the same previous one. Abandoned buildings will degrade and fall down over time. You are not technically limited on the amount of settlements. However, in lawful areas, the cost of buying land for UEC and the tax is scaled based on how much land you already own on that planet. So it does escalate beyond an affordable amount at some point. Failing to pay tax on plot after X amount of time will remove it from your ownership, freeing it up for someone else. You can just also abandon ownership if you wish. So it's definitely like you got to be able to pay for it. And over time, they're definitely going to make sure that if you can't, you lose it and it becomes derelict. And I hope once it becomes derelict, they start spawning NPCs in it. They start spawning loot in it. You can like salvage pieces of it and get something out of it. It's a lot of opportunities, which is kind of, again, just insane. That player bases can become POIs you can visit. These are the types of things I used to think they were going for, but at the same time, I was like, are they really going to be able to do that? Why you have homies claim their land, claim land all around you? Yeah, that's why you make alliances, I guess. All right, let's get back to the base building talk.
Which prevents aerial bombardments, and then a range of automated turrets such as PDC to shoot down missiles, anti-air, anti-vehicle, and anti-personnel. To round up, whilst we spent this entire time talking about how you can expand a single base, you can of course have multiple. These can be across a single planet, moons, across multiple systems. There are advantages and disadvantages of locations and base types. For example, in lawful areas, you'll need to buy your land for UEC, pay a tax to be able to build, and then you'll gain protection in return. In lawless, no cost, higher chance of better quality materials, but no security to fall back on. A small cabin in the woods can be great to set up in a single play session with short build times. However, the large base we just saw will take days, weeks, or even months, depending on how big you want to go. You might want to embark on this endeavor as a team or an org. You can set up a base as an org and own it as the org. For this, there'll be permissions available, and you can assign roles and tasks. Ultimately, base building can be your main gameplay loop or a supplementary one, depending on what it is that you value.
I think for a lot of people, this is end game kind of stuff. Not in the sense that it's the most difficult thing to do, just that like this is what they want to focus on. Building bases, maintaining and managing the resources around those bases, and like slowly expanding that subset of infrastructure. So that's what a lot of people love about these kinds of games.
On that final note, I would like to say thank you on behalf of the crafting and base building teams. We've been very excited to share with you some of the work so far and the vision we have for these systems. But before we go, we have one final video.
What do you mean? We're already watching a video. Farming. Wow, did you guys see that amazing ship? Imagine, like, did they build a base around a crashed javelin, or did a javelin try to attack your base? That seems like a pretty big failure if you lost a javelin at a base attack. Dude, look at how many hangars there are there. Jeez. True, they could have towed it there. But if you're going to tow it there, why drop it in the water?
Say thank you especially to Kian and Zheng Shui. They worked very hard on this, and you might see that base again later today. So stick around.
Yeah,
Thank you.
maybe they flew the javelin there and then realized they couldn't pull up. So
Hello. CitizenCon.
I think the best part of all of this, again, I'm just gonna go back to it, is this. I'm so excited for resources in the ground. Holy crap. That is this is such a big deal for like so many different professions. I can't wait to see what they do with this. What's the point of going to a landing zone then? Yeah, they gotta prove that, right? I mean, the municipal groundworks are one of the things that I think make landing zones interesting. And they can do that in different ways in other landing zones. But for now, they actually did not make a great case for landing zones. Building interiors used to be that case. And maybe that's still in the plans, but they didn't really talk about it during the CitizenCon. So, I don't know. Mission givers being at landing zones, possibly. And different specific stores and services being available there. But besides that, yeah, I don't know. There will likely be some form of missions that spawn from landing zones and stuff like that. But I do hope that building interiors is something that they talk about again outside of just the municipal works. That is a reason to go to Area 18. But I don't know what else there would be besides that. What's next? You don't think we got anything exciting as far as short-term improvements? They didn't talk too much about like what specifically is going to be 4.1 or 4.2 or 4.3. That could be a lot of different things. That could be our quantum boost with short distance POIs to go visit in space. That could be our scanning updates. It could be different types of missions, mining missions, investigation missions. Those are two things that they've talked about before. Not really sure though. We'll have to wait and see what they have on the progress tracker. I believe they said there's a roadmap update today. Is it today or next week? Did they put out a This Week in Star Citizen post? They did. Let's see. No roadmap update this week. So I guess next week we'll find out what might be coming up next year. But yeah, that's mainly base building, and I think they do a pretty good job of showing us what it could be. Lots of questions still about how this relates to shards and everything, and I think how much can players like really get involved in this gameplay. I think that a lot of the questions we have won't be answered until we're actually playing it. You know, what is the earning potential of somebody who's playing on a base and doing farming or manufacturing and selling that stuff? How is it all going to work in real time when we're actually playing it? Right now, it's just nice to think about and look at, but I hope that this stuff gets in within the next year. Not within the next year, but by the end of next year. At least some of this stuff. Maybe not this like big time stuff, but some of the smaller stuff with extraction and power management and all that jazz. That's all I need, dude. Even from the perspective of our large org, we could do a lot with this kind of stuff.
Halt its activity. Players will need to maintain fuses to keep the building operational. The better crafted fuse, the longer it lasts. This is where the fuse goes on this building. Next up, we have a terminal that gives us access to the status of our building. And, more importantly, we get to activate it here.
I don't think we should go by the progress tracker to try and decide how long this is going to take. I do think that they've clearly made some good progress on this, and in just the months from March until now, they've done quite a bit. So I would guess that if they keep pace with that, January is kind of an off month for them, but if they keep pace with that and they're working November, December, February, March, we could see something by the Q2 update in June. But I don't know about Q1 next year.